Swine flu is under scrutiny once again as pharmaceutical companies are being accused of hyping up a false pandemic. The Council of Europe is putting the virus on its winter agenda, which starts on Monday. A representative claims the World Health Organization colluded with major drug companies and changed the definition of pandemic. He said it ensured maximum profits but no risks for the firms. In Ukraine, millions of dollars worth of anti-flu medicine was sold during the swine flu outbreak there last October. Well, let's get more from RT's Alexei Yaroshevsky in Kiev. Alexei, how did Ukrainians react to the outbreak of the virus last year?
Indeed, Kerry, when the news of the swine flu epidemic in Ukraine broke in Ukraine October last year, it all reminded of a mass hysteria. Of course, this news was dominating agenda of most of the mass media in the country, and people got so scared they were rushing to pharmacies across the country, buying all the anti-flu medication everywhere, and in the first several weeks it was practically impossible to find any anti-flu medication in drugstores across the country. Of course, the pharmaceutical companies in Ukraine largely profited from all this hysteria concerning the swine flu epidemic in Ukraine, and their net profit, the total profit of pharmaceutical countries in the first month of the flu epidemic here in Ukraine amounted to more than $200 million, which was more than the companies in fact earned in all months before that during 2009. People continued dying in Ukraine in the first month, and the swine flu epidemic was, of course, making headlines everywhere, and this continued up until later stages of November. Now it's not making headlines anymore, and people are still dying, but this is down to the regular flu epidemic, which claims lives every year, and this panic has gone away, but still everyone remembers what happened in October last year.
But Alexei, the Council of Europe now claims there's a conspiracy among drug companies. Were there any concerns about this in Ukraine last year?
Well, indeed, if the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe is looking for a perfect example to add to their claims, Ukraine could be just that perfect example. As I told you, the profit of the pharmaceutical companies in Ukraine was huge in the first several months of this epidemic. This issue wasn't largely talked about in Ukraine. There was another thought about what was happening with this epidemic, because, as we know, it happened exactly in the middle of a presidential election campaign, and people were mostly talking about that this epidemic is being used by politicians as one of the factors in their campaign, as an attempt to garner more votes from the electorate. But still, in the later stages, when the effectiveness of the Tamiflu drug, which was supposed to be the most effective medication against swine flu, was discussed here in Ukraine, of course, this issue was also mentioned, and many were in fact criticizing the pharmaceutical companies for both the lack of medication, and also some, of course, claimed that there was certain conspiracy trying to sell as much medication as possible to the people.
So huge amounts of money we're talking about here, and Germany and France are now trying to sell their surplus swine flu vaccines because, well, not as many people used it as predicted. Is Ukraine likely to take it off their hands?
For the time being, Kerry, we know that during this epidemic, Ukraine was using the Tamiflu medication, the Swiss drug, which was supposed to be the most effective against swine flu. Later, of course, the respectable British medical journal claimed that the Tamiflu drug was not as effective as it was claimed to be. We know of any kind of vaccination which is being used in Ukraine, though we heard from one of the major medical companies in Ukraine that they were looking to buy some vaccine from either Switzerland, Canada or other countries, but currently we know that no vaccination has been purchased, mainly because the epidemic is not making headlines anymore, and it's not something that Ukraine is being concerned with.
Okay, Alexei, thanks for that. Alexei Yaroshevsky, our correspondent in Kiev. Thank you.